Hi, Dr. Paul. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks.
Let's talk a little bit about, you're coming out here for the Midwest Homeschool Convention in Cincinnati. It's April 6th. Tell me a little bit about, you have a passion and that you've spoken about for a number of years about homeschooling. Tell me about that.
Yes, although I am a product of the public school system, and I went 12 years, and my kids have gone through it, and we have public school teachers in our family, I always knew there was something very special about homeschoolers. And as public schooling has gone downhill, I have recognized that those individuals who have been exposed to homeschooling are so delightful and so well informed, and they're doing so well, and they have achieved much more than anybody predicted when it became more popular. I was very much aware of homeschooling back in the early 1980s when some of these court cases were going through and the government tried to close all the homeschooling down. So I see it as a wonderful opportunity in this age with the internet and options for people to get educated at their home with their parents and by their parents or whatever they choose, and get a much better education at the same time not getting the government propaganda, which is more or less what's happening in the public school system right now.
For you, is that one of the larger issues here, besides the education issue, which obviously, you can put homeschool students up against public school students or private school students, and they do extremely well academically, certainly in spelling bees and just their overall grades. But beyond that, the issue of teaching history that is not revisionist history, and the way that homeschoolers are able to really focus on their kids and make sure that they're not receiving that propaganda. For you, is that a major issue?
I think I start really with the fundamental right of people to get their education where they want, and the fundamental responsibility of parents being responsible, for their children's education rather than the state. But like you suggest, that is an absolutely important reason where they can actually get, real history. And we don't have to dictate. Somebody's, studying at home and having homeschooling, they can pick and choose. But once you go into the government school system, it's a monopoly control, and it's slanted. So no, I think it's a wonderful time to get a different viewpoint on history. And if parents don't particularly like the approach of one group versus the other, there could be a religious connotation. There could be absence of religion, and so I think it's a wonderful example of how freedom actually operates and brings people together. It's not like only conservative Christians want homeschooling. Others want it too, and this sort of fits into my argument that freedom brings us together. It's the principle of freedom that is so important. So that is what I really start with, freedom of choice and our own responsibility to take care of ourselves.
Somebody had mentioned to me that you may have a book coming out about homeschooling. Is that correct?
Yes, I do have a book. It's been mentioned in the media. I didn't purposely release it, but the information is out there. But it's no real big secret. It's not on the verge of next week or so coming out. But it is a book because I believe it's a very important subject, and I hope I can contribute something to the whole issue.
Yeah, the homeschooling movement, as it has grown, as you mentioned, it is not primarily just a Christian issue. And obviously there's a lot of born-again Christians, evangelical Christians who are a part of that homeschool movement, but it's not exclusive to Christians. And so as you've seen this grow, as you've written the book, what was the inspiration behind the book, and what do you hope to inspire people with through this book?
Well, the motivation was to spread a message, which has more or less been my goal in my political life. Holding office was important because it made it easier to spread a message, but spreading a message was essentially my goal even in the 70s. In the 70s, I'd have to admit, homeschooling wasn't on the agenda. That became more of my interest later on. So I want to talk about it and go to these conferences when invited, write books about it, because I see it as the alternative. I really am encouraged and optimistic about the future because so many people are joining the homeschool movement, and that is reason for us to be optimistic about what's happening. If this weren't occurring, I would think that our country would be in a lot worse shape.
Great. Dr. Paul, anything else that you would like to add in advance of your trip to Cincinnati?
No, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a nice crowd there, and I think I'll be there with a lot of friends, and I hope I can inspire people to keep working very hard in the homeschool movement.